On January 22, 1999, in Manoharpur village in Odisha, India, Australian missionary Gladys Staines went to sleep in his station wagon with his two sons, Philip and Timothy. Philip was 10 years old. Timothy was 6. They had attended a Christian prayer meeting that evening. It had ended late, and the roads were unsafe to travel. So Graham stayed in the vehicle with his children for the night. While they were asleep, a group of men surrounded the wagon. They poured petrol on it, and they set it on fire. Gladys Staines and his two sons died inside the vehicle. This is the true story of what happened that night. Do you know how it happened? Have you ever understood the real reason behind it? Then, can we travel together for the next few moments to understand what happened exactly that night? On January 22nd, Graham and his sons attended a small Christian prayer meeting in Manoharpur village. The gathering was peaceful and routine. It involved prayer, Bible reading, and singing hymns. Such meetings were common in the area and were usually small and quiet. Graham had spent most of his life serving people through his Christian faith. He believed his work among leprosy patients was a calling, not a job. He did not preach aggressively. His approach was based on service, care, and personal example. When the meeting ended, it was already late. The roads in the region were narrow, poorly lit, and unsafe to travel at night, especially through forested areas. Because of this, Graham decided not to return to his base that night. Instead, he chose to stay in his station wagon with his two sons. This was something he had done before and was not unusual. The three of them lay down inside the vehicle and went to sleep. Manoharpur is a small village in the district of Keonjhar in Odisha. The area is rural, with forest land nearby and limited infrastructure. Roads are uneven and visibility at night is poor. Travel after dark is commonly avoided because of safety risks and difficult terrain. Gladys Staines was familiar with this region. He had worked in nearby areas for many years. He regularly visited villages for meetings and for his work among people affected by leprosy. On that night, returning to his base was not considered safe. The distance, the darkness, and the condition of the roads made travel risky. For this reason, he chose to remain where he was. The station wagon was parked within the village area. This was not unusual during his visits. Local residents had seen him before and were accustomed to his presence. As the night progressed, the village became quiet. Houses were closed. Daily activity ended. Most people were inside their homes. Gladys Staines and his two sons were inside the vehicle and asleep. Later that night, while the village was quiet and most people were asleep, a group of men approached the station wagon. The boys and their father were inside the vehicle and unaware of what was happening outside. The attackers were carrying petrol and wooden sticks. They surrounded the vehicle. They then poured petrol over the station wagon and set it on fire. The fire spread quickly. Villagers later reported hearing cries and screams in the night. However, many people were afraid to go outside. Some were confused about what was happening. By the time anyone reached the location, the vehicle was already fully engulfed in flames. Gladys Staines and his two sons were trapped inside the burning vehicle and died there. There was no opportunity for them to escape. By the next morning, the fire had burned out. The burnt remains of the station wagon were visible. People gathered at the site. The bodies of Gladys Staines and his two sons were found inside the vehicle. The scene caused shock and distress in the village. Many residents were unable to understand how such an attack could happen in their area, especially against a man known for helping the sick and poor, and against 2 young children. Word of the incident spread quickly. Gladys Staines was born in Australia and came to India in the 1960s as a Christian missionary. He dedicated his life to working with people affected by leprosy, a disease that often led to social rejection and isolation. His Christian faith guided his work. He believed that every person had dignity and value. He was involved in running clinics, organizing treatment, and helping families rebuild their lives. He did not seek attention and did not live in comfort. He was known as kind, patient, and committed. Philip and Timothy were his youngest sons. They were in India visiting their father during school holidays. They often accompanied him to villages and meetings and were learning about his work. They were not involved in any disputes. They were not targets. They were simply children spending time with their father. After the killings, Gladys Staines, Graham's wife, traveled to India. She had lost her husband and 2 sons. When she spoke publicly, she did not express hatred or call for revenge. Instead, she said that she forgave those who had killed her family. She explained that her forgiveness came from her Christian faith. Her response drew worldwide attention. Many people, including non-Christians, described her words as extraordinary. Her forgiveness became one of the most remembered parts of the tragedy. The killing of Gladys Staines and his sons is remembered because of the brutality of the act, the innocence of the victims, especially the children, the fact that Graham had spent his life serving the poor and sick through his faith, the contrast between violence and forgiveness. The incident is often discussed in relation to religious intolerance, violence, and human rights. It is also remembered because it involved children who had no role in any conflict and no understanding of the danger they faced. For many, the deaths of Philip and Timothy remain the most painful part of the story. They were children on holiday with their father. They were not part of any conflict. They were not part of any argument. They were simply present. Their lives ended because of an act of violence they did not understand and could not escape. The story of Gladys Staines and his sons remains not only a story of tragedy, but also a reminder of faith, service, and forgiveness in the face of extreme cruelty.
If this story of faith and purpose spoke to your heart, we would love to hear from you. Leave a comment, share your thoughts, and let others feel encouraged too. And if you want more stories that lift your spirit and strengthen your faith, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Together, let's spread hope.